what's up, guys? This is Matt from the Mint 400. You own the Mint 400, right? It's your race?
Yeah, I like to say it owns me.
Sounds about right. This is a busy man. And we're out here at the Mint 400 course. He's been kind enough to, so the race got pushed from March to December because of COVID. And he called me and he said, man, if you want to come test the car out when it runs, you can come out here. And I was like, a lot of people make a lot of promises like that all the time to us, but they never really come through. But this man is out here also with a full-on film crew that is more professional than any film shoot I've ever been on. And I've shot for a few companies. So there's going to be a lot of really cinematic footage tied into this episode. And that's when you'll know it was courtesy of the Mint 400. So basically, we're just out here to test, to rip the car around, to make sure that we're starting to feel comfortable with the levels of terrain that the Mint is going to throw at us. He's going to teach me as much as he can over the next few hours about the Mint and what we're going to be expecting during the race. And then there's a jump right over there. And then I'm probably just going to jump the car until it breaks, or I see something I really, really like, or I get scared. So that's kind of the game plan. Test and then a lot of
That sounds like a great plan to me.
All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, so we're just jumping right into this. The first test that we're going to be doing is kind of a left to right pass. This is a nice flat spot, and we're just going to get some high speed. We'll see how fast. I'm not going to try and push the vehicle to its limits, but I'm going to just see comfortably like what the end of some of the gears is looking like. It'll be definitely the fastest I've ever gone in this car so far. It's now crunchy. So we did our first pass. The car is just covered in dust, and that's how it's gonna be. It's how its life is gonna live. We did a couple 100-mile-an-hour pulls there and back. Tried to top out around 100. Well, just can't really see much. Tried to top out around 100 just because I started thinking about like, well, what if something goes wrong? That's about the fastest I feel like crashing today. So yeah, a couple 100-mile-an-hour runs, and the car seems really stable, really planted, and really, really, really good at high speeds. It's fine at low speeds as well, but it feels way above average when we get to those high speeds. So that's fantastic. That's something that's really working right. The next, we're just going to do some fun cinematic shots, which are just some drifts. We're just going to clutch kick this thing and then drift around a corner or two. One issue that we're having is we're smelling some clutch. This is a brand new clutch. There's no reason this thing shouldn't be working and able to hold up to an LS, but it could just be like a factory defect or something like that. It's just a stock Lamborghini clutch. But so worst case scenario though, we have some partners that build some high power clutches, and maybe we move on to them when we get back. So this will be a good test of that clutch right now. guys, before we get too much further, I want to take a second out to thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by eBay Motors. This episode in particular was a very hard one to get to come together, hard one to make, and it wouldn't have been possible without the guys at eBay Motors. So huge thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't heard about eBay and eBay Motors, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but it is the place to go to get parts for your car. Whether you're looking for OEM, whether you're looking for hard to find, maybe discontinued replacement parts, custom parts, they have it all. Absolutely everything. And when you're browsing for parts for your car, you know they're gonna fit thanks to their proprietary web feature called Fitment. You type in your car model, you search for the part that you're looking for, and eBay Motors guarantees that any part that you find is gonna fit the vehicle you're searching for. So guys, the link is at the top of the description. Go hit that link, take a little browse. If you don't have a project car at home, maybe browse around for a project car. If you've got a project car at home or you got some mods that you've had in mind, I urge you, hit that link in the description, go check it out, go browse around, see how much those things are gonna cost, see how many different options there are out there. I think you'll be surprised. It's such a great deal and such a great place to find parts that you need, or cars that sometimes you don't need, but it's still awesome all the way around. Thanks to eBay Motors for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to it. Pardon the hair, the hat immediately. So the hat was riding with me, and then it got so dirty I didn't want to put it back on. So we got the dirt, and I'm really thinking we should have named this thing the Dirticon. We did some fun, just really fun spirited driving. The coolest part that I'm learning is how well this thing is doing at high speeds. Handles great at 70, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. It is so planted and just so steady. And yes, I am on a dry lake bed, but there are bumps around here and there are lumps and bumps, and it's doing really good. So I'm really happy with that. Car's performing great. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the whoops section. That's a big part of these off-road endurance races, is you get large sections of whoops. And this is gonna be the most challenging part, I believe, for the vehicle. And what we're trying to learn really is the speed in which we're gonna be able to hit these when we're racing, that it doesn't damage the vehicle. So what I've been told is, you could take the best trophy trucks in the world. If you purposely try and break them on these things, you will. It's just a matter of kind of figuring out your speed, figuring out your sweet spot for your vehicle to be able to travel over this terrain without breaking anything and making it too uncomfortable. We know we need more ride height. We did in the last episode change the spring, so we have more ride height than we had before, but we know we need even more. So that is just another thing that we're learning as we're out here testing and tuning, and we'll keep changing. So let's get to the whoops. We broke it. Basically, I sent it a little too spicy in the whoops. Like I said, each vehicle kind of has a few different options of how it's going to get over them. Either you clear them, so you're just bouncing across the top of them, or in our case, since our vehicle is so low and it's relatively long, it's not like a little bug, we're gonna have to like kind of go through them like this. And then I got going too fast to where I was bottoming out on every single one, and that did some damage on the bottom. We knew that we needed to build a skid plate. We just honestly haven't had time, and our steel orders have been taking forever. So we're gonna have an aluminum skid plate on this, and it will really help these problems not happen in the future. But for now, just gotta go slower on the whoops. Basically, I was just testing what happens if I go faster. Is it gonna get better? It definitely didn't get better. It broke a bunch of stuff. So here's where we're at. This clutch line right here runs over here. It's supposed to run in front of the trans and then go down and into there. The trans must have, as I caught air, the trans lifted up. This clutch cable got into a bad position. I don't even know how it did. We zip tied this away so it wouldn't do that. But one way or another, it crushed our clutch line, popping a hole in it. But I did bring a spare. The other thing that happened, as you can see over there, we got a little oil leak. That is a puncture in the oil filter. Didn't know this. We know this now. The oil filter is the thing that hangs down the lowest. It hit a piece of gravel really hard and just punctured a hole in it. So if they're able to run into town real quick and get an oil filter and a little bit of oil, and I'm able to get this clutch line changed out, we can at least move on to the jumps. We know the whoops are a place where we need to work on, but we got to jump over there, and I really want to hit it before we call it a day. So I'm gonna start doing some repairs. Start B is for building. Well, we pulled off a small miracle. Oscar ran into town, got a new oil filter. We got that on. We topped off the oil. We had that cord. We did. And then we took our spare clutch line that we brought. We had to do a little extensioning of clutch line and stuff, but we got that in there as well. So we get to drive. Now, I'd feel bad if I came out here to test the vehicle and then obviously we broke it and then not go back and make sure that it can handle it. But here's the reality of it. Gravel whoops like that. They have big stones in it. And before we have an under tray built and our ground height raised, it'd be just a dumb idea to go back there and break the car again. It's 112 degrees out here. We can't be waiting around. So let's say we kind of failed on the whoops, but we know exactly what to do to get better. And we have some whoops in Oregon that we can test on and feel better. So the last big thing as far as terrain, like the whoops are the hardest terrain part of the course. So now we're moving on to the jumps. So let's just go, like this is a progressive jump, so I can do it slowly, it'll be totally chill, or I can just keep hitting it harder and harder and harder. The only question mark is they haven't seen how the jumps are right now. Other people could have messed them up. So we're gonna go over there, do a little investigating and see how we can go on them. So we're out here in what was the jump area. Matt has explained to me that some of this has been washed out, some of this has kind of been moved around by locals, and the original jumps are no longer here. So we have to do this more organically, a little bit more urban. We found a little spot where I did a little test run up. This is especially sketchy for the car because if I case this jump right here, we're gonna hit our frame. So I did this at like 6 miles an hour. This is where my frame dug in, I believe. And if we hit our frame really hard right here, it's gonna really, really hurt our backs. Like maybe break our backs. But if we don't, at least it's a jump. This is the Jump-A-Con, and this is what we're out here to do. I didn't really know, there's not a lot of jumps in the race. I thought it'd be riddled with them. There's some whoops, but there's not a lot of crazy amount of jumps. So this isn't exactly practice for racing. This is just practice for jumping's sake, I guess. So about this point, we get out of the car did fine, we're doing fine, we review the footage, it looks amazing, but in the back of our mind, we know that we just went over a pretty small jump. The only jump that was shaped correctly for an automobile ended up being a pretty small jump. Like we said, everything had been completely washed away and locals had basically torn up everything that Matt expected to have there. And I felt like we came a long ways and we should really send this thing off of a big jump. So I looked to the left and there was a thing that was kind of shaped like a jump, but honestly, I don't think should be, in retrospect, I don't think should be jumped by any car. And we decided one more jump before we pack it in. We drove all the way here, we should hit a really big jump. And the game plan was to go slower, and the rest is unfortunate history. Well, this just really sucks. Oscar's hurt, and I just went too fast off that jump. We completely ended up and slammed down, and his side must have slammed down harder and hurt his back, and I feel terrible. You know, it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt, right? And back injuries just suck. They linger with you forever. I'm gonna call it right here for now. This is the end of our time in the desert. We'll be in Vegas for the next few days. I'll give you guys an update with Oscar about how things are going in a day or two. Well, that was a heavy moment. Fast forward a few more days, we're back home. That moment was easily one of the worst moments that we've had in BS for Built. Don't ever want that to happen again. Let's talk about how Oscar is. He's doing much better. So we immediately went to the doctor after that happened. We got x-rays taken. The doctor said, you know, you might have compressed a disc a little bit, but he expected a full recovery. Got him some painkillers, went out on the town in Vegas, and he was able to partake and join us at a few things, went to a frozen bar, and he's feeling a lot better now. And now today is a lot further along down the line. He's had time to heal up more. He's gone to his local doctor here, who also thinks he's just gonna make a full recovery. It's just gonna take a little time, and he just says he's feeling better every single day. He's let's go look at him. He's working on top secret boat stuff. But look, he bent over. Like he's not broken.
Not broken.
You alive, Oscar?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there with just like severe pain. No, no, I'm doing a lot better. It's it's getting better every day.
God, why do you have a hammer? So yeah, the guy's clearly got, you know, high spirits. He's out there joking around about it. He's got a good sense of humor about the whole thing, but he's not back to 100% yet. So let's send him some well wishes in the comments on Instagram, stuff like that. Make sure that he knows that as a community that we definitely care about him. We're rooting for him to have a full 100% recovery and be back to where he was before very soon. So there's a big lingering question as to why that even happened. Like, why did he get hurt? And there's a lot of variables that I've found out, because at BS for Build, we're all about, you know, do something, learn from it, do better the next time, iterating. We're not pros at any of this stuff. So to show you kind of what happened, I'm gonna need a computer and we're gonna science this thing out.
Using the latest in physics technology, we're able to recreate some of the jumps that we did out in the desert. Now you can see down below here that this is a, well, don't mind this really steep incline hill. That's to get my physics demonstration enough speed to hit the jump. Now, the first jump that we did was something like this. It's a nice gradual incline, and the thing to note is that the incline is twice the distance of the vehicle's length. So when we play this, we go off, we hit our jump, and we stay level, and then we landed. We did not fall to our death like that. So that's what you want to be doing. The second jump was shaped a little bit more like this. If you hit it at the speed that we hit it at and you overshoot the landing, it ends very, very poorly for Oscar. So what I've been told by the guys is when you have a jump where the leadoff part, the distance of that is twice the length of your vehicle, it gives your vehicle time to settle on that angle, so it's not just bucking it, and then it'll send it correctly and go through. Even if you did this jump and you recreated it and you overshot it, you're still going to fly more straight, and it's not the end of the world when you land. So I think we could do jumps like this. We just have to make sure that we're going a lot slower. And if you go a lot slower and you only have this much wiggle room for air, the likelihood of going too slow and casing the car on the jump also rises a lot. So jumps like this in the future, we're just going to stay away from. There's absolutely zero of them in a race, so it's not something we got to worry about.
So that leads us to what's next on the Jump-A-Con, which is basically a full reworking of the suspension. I'm going to boost the ride height up on this by getting different weight springs up to equal to what my Raptor is. That's the level that we decided we want to be at. We're also going to move some shock locations around, new springs we need, and then the other thing other than springs. So springs set the ride height, and we've got this figured out now. I know what we need to order. So I don't know the very exact spring rate we need for that ride height, but I will figure it out. I will get it exactly. The reason we didn't have it before the Mint was because I only it's the timelines. You ordered them, I ordered them, I made my best estimate, I ordered what I thought we needed, and then when we put them on the car, it definitely wasn't enough, and there wasn't time to order more. It's not like you're gonna overnight these things. So I will order more springs and we'll get that ride height set and dialed in. Same ride height as the Raptor. So springs set the ride height, and then it's the shock's job to set the dampening, the squish. So when the car's hitting the ground right now, you can see from all the videos that it just is like slapping down into the ground. We need more dampening. We need that shock to have more resistance to squish, make it harder to squish down. And to do that, we have to change the valving. Everybody in the world that goes off and tests brand new off-road builds, they do shock tuning first. You tune your shocks first and then you go drive. And honestly, we didn't know that. I'm new to this stuff. I don't know everything. I thought we would just give it the best guess and go send it. That's not how it's done. Got to get the shocks tuned. So now I know that, and we're gonna do that. On another note, I really wanted to thank the guys from the Mint so much for helping us out with all the footage in this episode. Obviously, the footage was much better quality than we've ever had before. That's because they sent out a camera crew to help us film, and that was a very challenging day. It was like 111 or plus degrees outside. It was very, very hot. Like, we got the car stuck at one point, and we just went to push on the frame, and somebody immediately like burnt a blister into their hand. Like, that's how hot it was out there, and they did an amazing job and made some amazing footage. Now, they made a cut, like a little sizzle reel almost, or like an edit of their own, and the link is in the description right under eBay Motors. So do the eBay Motors thing first and then hit that link under there and go show them some love. Check out that video, hype that video up. They've been so kind and helping us out so much with this endeavor that we're doing, and let's show them all the love we can. It's also the coolest video that's ever been made about one of my cars ever. So there's that. That should be my job to do, but I can't be bothered. I'm just too busy building them. So let's talk about what's next, the next steps that we're gonna be working on. You're not gonna see this as much for a little bit because we have to order a bunch of parts, and that takes a while for them to come in. So we got shock tuning that has to be done. We have new springs that we need to order, and I may add even another set of bypass shocks. So once we have all that stuff here, then it's like a day and a half of fabrication, and we're gonna have that great ride height and go test it out at a race. We're trying to aim for Hoopty Cross September 11th, but you know, that's pretty far away, so you're not gonna see it for a while. But it will be being worked on in the background as soon as the parts come in. The other big thing that needs to be finished is the boat. So Oscar's working on the boat stuff full time. He's getting that other engine prepped and ready, so we'll do another test on the stand, and we'll get the engines into the boat in the next boat episode. So that's being worked on as well. And last but not least, the part that's got me really excited is we're starting on a new build. So the next episode is actually going to be introducing you guys to a new build, and it's our build for SEMA 2021. Now, I know a lot of you guys feel a lot of different ways about, you know, the boat should be finished first, or this should be finished all the way. They'll both be finished when they need to be finished, but what am I gonna film if I'm waiting for like a month for shocks and springs to show up? Some of those things are 8 to 10 week build time. Last time we worked on an engine to get it on a stand and running, it took Oscar 1.5 months. So I need something to work on. But also, another thing I need you guys to understand is, I mean, I do read all of your comments. I do really care about your opinion, your feedback, and that's why I'm mentioning this stuff and I'm bringing it up. But what you guys need to understand is when you make an agreement with a partner, with a brand, or with like in our case it's a sponsor, to be in their booth, that's something that happens a long ways out. I mean, SEMA and everything is scheduled and planned very, very, very far out. And with 2020 not happening, we actually had made this obligation and this promise over a year ago. So when I shake somebody's hand, I make an agreement, I give them my word, I'm gonna bring a killer car and a killer build to your booth at SEMA, like I mean it. It's not something that we take lightly and we let people down. We're not gonna let anybody down. We gotta build this thing, and we gotta start now. We got 3.5 months, we have time to do it, and honestly, I'm really excited about building it. It's gonna be awesome. It's a great build. And I'm really, really excited about this build, but I just wanted to let you guys know, I see the comments every time we unveil a new project. There's kind of a lot of people that are like, oh, when are you gonna finish the other ones? Just please know that obviously this thing, we've got a race date, man. December 1st is the Mint 400. This thing will be finished and be racing. The boat will be in the water or I will be broke. And we're gonna build this other car for SEMA, and it is gonna be awesome. If there's any other car that you know of in our collection that you're waiting to get worked on, trust me, it's gonna get worked on. It's just sometimes I gotta make timing sacrifices and things get slotted in otherwise. Ever since we started BS for Build, I've always been trying to kind of like make the right decision on what we do next. And it's very hard, and I don't like letting anybody down. So let me just say that. The new shop we are working on actively, like all day today we are working on the new shop. We still haven't broke ground yet, but don't worry about that. And once we have that new shop, our square footage is gonna over quadruple, and then we'll be able to like also work on a lot more things at once. As it is right now, we can only fit one car in the shop at a time. So I get to start the SEMA build outside. So that was a lot of talking. Thank you so much to all of you guys that have watched this all the way through, watched all the way to the end. It is now your job to tell everybody in the comments what's going on with everything, because you know now. But anyways, next episode we're gonna drop is the unveiling of our next build. It is a killer build. Give you a hint, it's JDM. Very JDM, spicy JDM. But if I know anything about you guys, I know you're gonna love this next build. So keep an eye out on our Instagram for when that next episode is gonna drop, or just make sure you're subscribed and you'll see it anyways. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for being here with us on this journey, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace!